Hey, what's up, beautiful people of the metaverse? Hope you guys are doing really well. I'm doing fantastic. All right. So I hope you guys and girls and everyone are doing fantastic as well. All right. So today we're going to be discussing about decentralized sports betting, an intro into BetDEX, one of the protocols in the Solana ecosystem. All right. And just so you know, like always, I've created a presentation for you just so that you can clearly understand what we're going to discuss and in a very easy to understand way. All right. So, yesterday we've done this video which was about the Web3 and the whole digital asset ecosystem, the outlook for 2022. And of course, like this is just probabilistic thinking, it's not like prediction that this is going to happen. So you got to understand that. But I've shown you lots of data points in that presentation, so I highly recommend you to go ahead and like watch that if you haven't. And within that, I've just briefly touched into this part about decentralized sports betting and online gambling and casinos and stuff like that. But we're just going to double click into the decentralized sports betting side of things, all right, about BetDEX. But before we jump into that, we need to understand, hey, what is the projection of this market? How further could it grow and what's the potential? As you know, like sports in general, it's worldwide. Everyone in each of the countries, there's different clubs or like, different teams and so on and so forth. I'm sure like most of you are like fans of different like football clubs or like rugby clubs or like basketball clubs and so on and so forth. You get the idea. But here, as you can see over here, like, this industry, like the sports betting industry, it will approximately compound like an annual basis. The compound growth of this industry is going to be 10% growth over the next 5 years. And this is just like the current market without using decentralized systems. You got to understand that, okay? That this is the projection for that. And as you can see, by 2025, it's estimated to be roughly around like just a bit over like 100 billion or something, and just no decentralized applications or stuff like that. All right. And you see right here, like we have touched on this yesterday, but just to iterate, ASPAC, Asia Pacific, they are into this, they are into betting and all of that stuff, responsibly, of course. So that's a huge market, right? Because just India and like China itself consists of like over 3 billion people in the world, and in the world like there's like 9 billion people, so it's approximately like 40% of the population is in Asia, you could say. Or yeah. And as you know, like there are current all these players, 88 Holdings, who does that, Bet365, of course, if you know, Betfair, GVC Holdings, and so on and so forth. But anyways, and it can be done like currently online and offline. But as you know, like more and more as we go into the future, we are getting more like digital native, so it's mostly it's better to focus on the digital side of things. Of course, like the offline side of things is important as well, to meet people and so on and so forth. But of course, like due to the C19 measures, there's been some behavioral changes, in humans in general or in societies. But anyways, you get the idea. You've heard about that in media. We don't want to make it that kind of thing. But anyways, coming into this, we've also like to estimate like what happened in the last decade. How was the market like? Just to give because this is casinos, online gambling, and like sports betting. More or less, it's kind of the same thing, but it's also not the same thing because sports betting is done only by people who are like sports fans and so on. So it's niche to that, and casino is more like people playing blackjack and so on. So, but more or less, there's like an overlap. And just to understand, like how did the market, what was the market size in the past decade, until 2021, from 2011. you can see like there's a steady growth and approximated, and this is in $1 billion, billion US dollars. So as you can see, like there's been a major dip in 2020. Of course, you know why. Okay. And then coming back to 2021 when everything started coming back online and everything, it picked up, it picked up. And what do you think is going to happen in 2022? Of course, it's going to keep exploding. Okay. And more of this sort of like entertainment or all these services will keep on going online. Okay, so we expect, like we have seen from this projection, there's approximately there's going to be massive growth. And I expect, like, since they're just considering like today's technology and today what they use, they're projecting 100 billion. I would predict like easily it's going to go 3x, at least. Most likely it's going to go there, because as we have seen the growth in the in the digital asset market, we have seen like Bitcoin and all these like Solana, Ethereum, everything grow, and this is going to create that snowball effect and make this market much more huger. Like not just this market, any other market which can be much more digitalized, so you get that. So I would estimate like this to be like 30% and this to be approximately around like 300 billion. But let's see what happens. All right. So, but getting into this, why is of course, like, sports, watching movies, and like, going out for dinner and like, whatever, like stuff like this, it's like it's entertainment, to be honest. And I mean, not to be honest, you guys know that. All right. So sports for me, especially, apart from just being online, I tend to watch a lot of sports in the sense, not, I don't tend to watch a lot of sports. These days, I just watch like highlights of like the football matches. But whenever there's a special football match, like football in the sense soccer, if you're from the US, but it's pretty entertaining to me because, and I'm a fan of football, like English Premier League, as I've mentioned to you yesterday. So sports is entertaining, and how can you go like to the next level? How can you make it much more fun? How can you much more make it much more entertaining by betting? I'm not saying like, hey, bet irresponsibly, bet responsibly. Let's say Manchester United and Chelsea is playing today, and I'm a fan of Chelsea, huge fan of Chelsea, okay? And I've been following them for years. And since Chelsea's team, as you know, right now, last year they've won the Champions League. So there are different odds, So to make it more fun for me and much more entertaining for me, so that I can go and I can just maybe cheer for them, maybe if I want to go to the stadium wherever or something like that, to watch the game, to make it much more fun for me, or to double my experience, I would bet, I would put my money where my mouth is. That's what they say, right? So that is what betting is, all right? So to make the entertainment and fun 2x, you gotta bet, okay? I'm not telling you to bet, but of course, responsibly bet. Now, to even take it further to the next level, what BetDEX is doing, all right? So they're actually, so to take it to the next level, you gotta decentralize this whole betting ecosystem, or this whole betting niche. Right now everyone has a company, and you don't know whether you're betting against the computer or you're betting with someone, or you're betting like there is some algorithm to make you win, to make you lose. Of course, like you know the deal, right? So to make it fair, and how can you make it fair and transparent? By decentralizing all these ecosystem, okay? Decentralizing the base layer. So when you do that, it makes the entertainment and fun much more on a higher level, 10x. Okay, so sports is entertaining, betting makes it 2x, and decentralized betting makes it 10x. Okay, because you can actually see the transaction, you can audit it, you know who you're dealing with, and because it's much more like peer-to-peer sort of a thing. All right, so now, that is what BetDex is trying to solve, to make this sports betting thing much more decentralized, not much more, decentralized itself. Okay, but what is BetDex? Okay, to be honest, like just from the name itself, you can understand it's BetDex. Okay, so bet, as you know, betting, and Dex. what do you know from DeFi? Decentralized exchange, okay, where you go and you exchange different assets and different values. Like you could do it for NFTs, you could do it for tokens, coins, you name it. And there's like different dexes on different ecosystems. All right, so you get that. Now, BetDEX is it's the world's first decentralized sports betting protocol. Okay, it's not an app, it's a protocol itself. All right. I mean, it's wrong to say like it's not an app. Okay, let's just understand world's first decentralized betting protocol. What do I mean by that? It is it is something like the internet. Like when you create the internet, on top of internet you can create like Facebook and Instagram and all these different LinkedIn or YouTube and all that stuff. So those are apps which are built on the internet protocol, which is, if you go more technical, it's like TCP IP. That's what, if you have heard of that. All right, so transmission and internet protocol, that's what it consists about. All right, so BetDEX is a sports betting decentralized protocol where people can build applications on top of it. What sort of applications? Sports betting applications and so on and so forth. So right now they're taking one step at a time, and they're trying to create their MVP by the end of by the first half of like 2022. All right, and this, what they're actually trying to offer is a ready-made infrastructure where you don't have to you as an app developer don't have to actually worry about the backend infrastructure. They're building it for you. And this is going to be open source, of course, because it's decentralized open. We need to see the code, what's happening, and that is the edge, that BitDEX gets. And that's a major edge. Trust me. Just think for yourself. If all these voting and all these things that we do on a day-to-day basis, all right, like you deposit your money in the bank and you don't know what's going on, and you're not even getting interest on that. So you don't have any transparency on that. You don't know what's happening. You just know when you spend. Okay, that's fine, but what does the bank do with your money and so on, so forth? But I don't want to get into that, but just trying to make it easier to understand that open source is very important, and that's a very big advantage that someone can have. And also it's a community driven sort of a project. It will be so community is key in Web3 to succeed. Community is like really the key. All right. So, and also what this will offer, like by making it decentralized, open source, sports betting protocol, creating the backend, it will make the peer-to-peer experience or the betting experience, user experience much more better. Why? Because this is inbuilt. It's online. It's everything is online and transparent, and you can see it, and you can do, and you can have a lot of fun, because like I mentioned, sports, just watching sports is entertaining, but betting, 2x, decentralized betting, next level. All right, so that's what it's about. All right, so what sort of basic challenges, we have seen the chart before, and we have looked at some of the companies who are actually who play a part currently in this market, like not the decentralized but the centralized side of things. So basically all these centralized products like Betfair, Bet365, and Sportium here in Spain, when you go to their website, like for me, like as a millennial, you gotta search a lot of different things, and you're all confused because the user experience and the user interface itself is really confusing, for people, and for the younger generation especially. They don't get all of this, and they don't want to search, like like this is what we say, if you build a website, it needs to be so simple enough. Like that means you need to dumb it down so much that people should just, oh, okay, there's a button, oh, we click that. Okay, oh, okay, there's a button, we click that. So you need to make that user experience so good that people don't even have to think about it. All right. So so this is what one of the challenges right now. So it's really, really tough, and there's no transparency on all these products, what's there in the market. And just to make it much more open and fair, it needs to have that, because users are starting to demand this. And so BetDEX is just front running this thing and being there and creating a product, not just a product but a protocol itself where people can build on top of it in an open source way. Like you see over here, this is a website called Sportium. It's very popular here in Spain, and I mean, look at their website, man. Like, I mean, are you insane? Who's going to read all these like thing? We don't want to read all of such a lot of text, and you see, like it's insane. Like, I mean, how they do it, how they think about it. I don't know what sort of technology is this, by the way. Like, yeah, it's a website, but who knows? Maybe it's just a WordPress website or something like that. But anyways, the other example over here. See, look, I'm not trying to give like commentary on all of these companies. They have done great, and they might be great in their field or something like that. But what I'm trying to make is like there is a lot of improvement, and there's a lot of technology which is available currently to make that happen, to make that improvement happen. So why aren't these businesses innovating and building on top of all of these open source protocol? That's my thing. And make their first website better, first. Anyways, coming to BetDEX, okay? BetDEX, open source, decentralized sports betting protocol. But where are they building this? What sort of technology are they using? Of course, as I've been telling you, Solana is is one of the best technologies out there currently, one of the best distributed technologies out there. Why? Because as you can see over here, the average cost of transaction, if you compare to in dollar, it's like it's got like three decimals in here. If you compare it to like in sol terms, it's like four decimals or five decimals like that. So, and the transactions per second, it's estimated right now it has the capacity, or it has the ability to do 50,000. And in the future, like, as the software keeps getting better and they improve their consensus mechanism even further, it's going to scale even further. And Solana itself, like it's the finality, it's one of the fastest blockchain, and it's 400 millisecond is the block time. That means the finality within the block and voting and everything happens and done within like 400 millisecond. Like even on a slow day, it feels fast, because if you have used Ethereum, you know what I'm talking about. If you come from Cosmos, or like Avalanche or Phantom or any other EVM chains or whichever chains, the speed and efficiency of Solana is far, far, far better, and the user experience, you know, beautiful, amazing. And Solana has just been here like for 2 years, and the whole technology itself is very young, and the community is very young. Still, it has seen this rapid growth in terms of like developers coming here and building and so on and so forth, and decentralizing. As you see over here, the number of validators in the mainnet is growing. The last time I checked, it was just like around 500 or 300. Now it's like quadrupled. And super minority 19, which is higher than Bitcoin and Ethereum and so on and so forth. This is like a term which called like Nakamoto coefficient, which was coined by Balaji Srinivasan, who is like a former CTO of Coinbase. And he has great thoughts. He's one of the thought leaders out there. If you go ahead and just type Nakamoto coefficient Balaji, and you'll find it. So this determines like how decentralized your protocol is. So Solana is far ahead in terms of decentralization, in terms of like technology. I'm not trying to downplay the others. I'm saying they are great, whatever they are, but Solana is even better, way better. So, but anyways, how's Solana doing, by the way? Like, how's Solana doing, just by numbers? As you can take a look, 1 million total NFT minted, 1.6 downloads of Phantom, 5.9 thousands of public repo, and you get the point. Like, and you see over here, 45 billion transactions processed. That's insane. 5,000 total projects who are building in this ecosystem, and BetDEX is one of them. All right. And BetDEX is not just not just an application. It's a protocol. Okay, it's a protocol. And coming back to BreadDex, as you have seen, okay, they're leveraging one of the best technologies, and the best technology, Solana, is has been growing, and it will continue to grow, because the community is growing. And coming back to BetDEX, okay, BetDEX, what sort of target markets are they looking at? As I've shown you in the infographic in the first slide, that you have seen, ASPAC contains like 39% of the people in Asia Pacific region, um, tend to do sports betting and so on and so forth. Okay, so that is where they are trying to focus on first. But it's not limited to just APAC. Okay, it's limited for worldwide. They're global. Okay, their services and their protocol will be global, open source, global, and anyone can access it. Of course, like there's different regulations in different countries like US, so all these regulators and everyone will, be educated by, the companies who are in this Web3 ecosystem, and together they will understand, hey, this product or service offers value, you can do a lot of different things. So they're looking out for all of those, the clarity in the regulation space, and it will get there, all right? But right now, ASPAC, they have much more, they have clearer rules again, like for digital assets or digital asset products and services, let's say. Now, coming into, like, how would they do the public relations and collaboration? Of course, like the first thing it comes to your mind is like, of course, it's a betting protocol, so they need a lot of data, and, to create different, statistics and so on and so forth, not just like for backend, for users too. And also, yeah, so they will connect with different data providers, and they will also collaborate with, like, traditional entities like the companies who are already there, and just to bring them to, okay, so that, like, hey man, let's see if they can actually, like, all these centralized company can actually create, like, just leverage the power of BetDEX protocol and offer like decentralized, make their services much more open. Okay, so and through their communities, because they already have some users in them and so on and so forth. But I'm assuming, like, not assuming, like, I tend to think like those users of those platforms are, maybe they're like, like sort of like the different generation, the generation before me. So yeah, and like, together we would need to educate. We would need to educate, and these guys can help because they already have a community. And of course, BetDex is going to build their own community as well. But anyways, coming to the users, okay, what does BetDex have for the users as of right now? As of right now, if you go to their website, you could sign up for the beta list, when their application is going to come out. But anyways, they would have two different types of products, okay? One for the business to consumer or the retail, just like people like you and me, individuals, and that would be for the international market, a decentralized application where you can go ahead and do sports betting, and on international markets, all right? And a B2B platform, which is this like business to business, like I mentioned, like, you can bring in this centralized parties also if they're willing to actually leverage the power of blockchain and so on and so forth. Or there could be different protocols or different applications from the Web3 space itself who could build like different applications on top of it, or different exchanges on top of it. Sports betting exchanges on top could be one of the use case. All right. Now, how could they actually go ahead and use the innovation that's already there in Web3? Web3 innovation is insane, and it's 24/7, 365. It never sleeps. It's not like traditional market, oh, Monday to Friday, and like, 6 hours a day, and then the markets is closed. Man, there's a lot of innovation, and the whole world is in it. As I've shown you, like, yesterday, 300 million users, just over 300 million users currently who are using digital assets, and this space is much more, it's much more faster than the adoption of the internet itself. I showed you that infographic. Go back to yesterday's video and take a look at it. But anyways, let's stick to how can they actually use all of these technologies to innovate. Okay, GameFi, it comes directly to my mind first because all these like sports betting, online gambling and casinos and so on and so forth. Like just thinking of sports betting, you could think of first like you could use GameFi. Okay, what is GameFi? Okay, gamification of DeFi. All right, so I've explained this to you yesterday in very details. All right, so it's just like integrating some sort of like game elements into it, making it gamified. Okay, making the user feel comfortable. People who are not users or people who are not comfortable just using directly the DeFi protocols. Okay, just to bring them in. And also you have a fantastic thing called NFT. You've seen like NFT grow in 2021, to going parabolic. But that's not what we're talking about. We want to see how they could integrate like NFT into this ecosystem, and so on. So there's lots of use case for NFTs into this product, and also social network. Social network, as you know, Meta and Instagram centralized, so like how would these guys create a social network within their sports betting protocol and application? How could they actually integrate that, make it much more social and fun, like I mentioned, so social betting, peer-to-peer betting and so on and so forth. You can do that trustlessly. Okay, you don't have to trust the entity, or you don't have to be on a mercy of like, I don't know, Betfair or whatever. You don't have to use that. So, and also the main thing, one thing is like right now they're on Solana right now. Let's say, for example, in 10 years there comes like not 10 years. I mean, let's say in the next couple of years there's a better technology and better chain also where there's a lot of users. I mean, cross chain, how could they actually integrate this and bring their product or their protocol into a different chain as well? And you can create this because why do you want to create it on different chains? You want different audiences, different types of users coming in and using your product. So you're just expanding your market, and also you're expanding your users by, and also you're technically becoming much more sound, by creating all these cross-chain sort of a connection to create a unified product and experience. All right, and of course we have Android and iOS. Of course, they can have applications on that as well, and there are more. But for now, that's where my head is at. All right. But let's look at like, the founders of this. Who are they? I was just digging up and like trying to learn like, hey, who's creating this? And as like there are so many projects in digital asset space. Like, people have no previous experience in order to understand the challenges and then innovate upon. All right. But these guys, like as you can see, Varun, his name is Varun. He's the CEO. He's one of the four founders of FanDuel, and this is Stuart, I believe. He's the CTO, and his name is Nigel. Nigel. So they are one of the four former founders of FanDuel. And what's FanDuel? FanDuel, it's an online sports book and fantasy game, like I mean fantasy experience, not fantasy experience. Like they're into this sports betting sort of a thing. So FanDuel is basically it's an online sports book, just like how BetDEX is, but it's centralized. All right. So they're former founders of that. So they know what they're doing, they know what the challenges are, and they're building this innovative solution on top of Solana, leveraging the best technology out there, and they're creating this. Okay, so I'm confident that they will succeed. They will most probably succeed because they know what they're doing. Okay, they know what they're doing, and it's very very challenging to find these sort of founders who are actually driven by the ethos of blockchain, and also they want to actually go ahead and create a product or a business on top of that, and so on and so forth. So it's massive. But anyways, let's look at the people who are actually investing in them, or like who are actually partners with them. All right. As you can see over here, Paradigm, like look, big names over here, like big names. I mean, Paradigm is like one of the most prominent VCs out there, and they're just not like VCs, what they call over here, and each one of them, I would say, are very, very prominent into gaming, NFTs, and you name it, DeFi, and so on and so forth. Like Alameda Research, Sam Bankman-Fried, he comes from there. He was the former CEO of Alameda Research. And these guys are quant traders, so trading and betting is the same. It's just like a trade, like you do something, you get something. You do something, you get something, or you lose something, so they know what they're doing, and they're of course like investing in, these guys, because sports betting is one of the industries which is waiting to be disrupted. Okay, and Multicoin Capital, of course, Kyle Samani, Hack VC, Sino Global, Matthew, and Lightspeed, Amy, she's into gaming and all that stuff. She understands all these very clearly. Everblue Management LLC, and of course like Solana. Okay, so these guys, they know what they're doing, and when I see these names on like one of the partners list, I'm much more. It makes me it makes me satisfied. It makes me calm. Because I'm more confident. You can say, all right. So I have no doubt that these partners will help BetDEX and shape BetDEX, in throwing some light into more expertise into like the Web3 space, and like their tokenomics, if they come up with a token, and later on you have this DAOs, you can create a DAO, and like all these digital, how can they actually integrate like digital assets into BetDEX, right? So these guys are experts in this field. Like these guys are truly experts, and they have research team and so on and so forth. But yeah, I can just go on and on. But like, let's get back. But what are the priorities right now, okay, for BetDex? Since, like in the first slide I've mentioned, they right now when you go to their website, which is BetDex, BetDex. I'll give you the website at the end. But anyways, their priorities for now is to have a minimum viable like product out there, like a backend ready, the protocol itself, get it ready, and I mean have different companies, like third party companies coming there and like testing and checking their code and stress testing, so that like it doesn't just break when a lot of users come in. So you have to do all these audits. So there's so they're focused on security, they're focused on creating all of this, and they will also be launching like two different GUIs. GUIs are nothing but like graphical user interface. Okay, so where it's not it's a way to say like it's like an application, or it could be anything for like where people can go and interact easily. All right, graphical user interface, not like a command line interface. But they will do this. They will do one for the professional side of things, for the professional traders or the bettors or whoever want to do that, like much more sophisticated sort of products, like how and one the other side would be the retail side, much more easy to use sort of a product, but the products will overlap because just the experience would differ, because some professionals, they require some advanced features or settings or configuration, and the rabbit hole is very deep on that. They have but retail, we just want to click buttons and we're done. All right. So basically what I'm trying to say is, like, think of FTX. If you have used FTX, and if you have used Blockfolio, which is currently FTX app, so FTX itself, like FTX.com, it's a professional trading platform. I've shown you tutorials on that in my previous videos, and also FTX app is nothing but like a mobile app. They don't have a desktop interface or a website. They have a website, but they don't have like a graphical. They have a mobile app. Okay, so this one, which is much more easier to use, and so on and so forth. It's like Coinbase. They have Coinbase Pro and Coinbase Retail and all that stuff. But anyways, so they're going to have backend ready. They're going to do three multiple third-party audits. They're going to have this two GUI for professional traders and retail. They, of course, and then, man, education. Why are we doing this? I'm trying to share the information, and by sharing the information, now if you haven't known BetDEX before, now you know that hey, there is a product like this, and it's upcoming on Solana. So this is called education. So there needs to be community education from not only their end, from the community's end as well. So that how to use your product, what to do this, and like you remember the first time, like there are so many people who are investing like for the first time into digital assets. Their first experience of investing or speculating or trading is digital assets. Okay, so I mean, just think of it. Like in this case, also it would be the same because those people who came in for the first time and done trading and all that stuff, this will be the first experiencing like a decentralized sports betting protocol. And these audiences might not be the audiences who already bet. It might be more fun, because and that is the whole intention, to make it more fun, include the metaverse, and you can go on the tangent in the future roadmaps, and like I mean not roadmaps, like I mean when you iterate the product and you can go into the metaverse. But what I'm trying to say is all these things, it needs education. Okay, it needs education, some content to be there. When you search for something, hey, how to use BetDEX, there should be like a video or something like that. Hey, how to place my bet on BetDEX, and so on and so forth. So what are odds, and all that stuff. What happens when a football match draws? Will I get my money? Like, you understand, like all these FAQs and like tutorials, people explaining the product. This is education. It needs to be there. And finally, one of the critical things is like in digital asset space, in any market, not just digital assets, even in traditional markets, you need to have market liquidity, in the sense there needs to be capital deployed in the market, so that when new people come in and use their platform or use their DApp or use their sports betting, app, there is funds to do trades, so there's funds to do trades. So this is very important, and that is why the partners would also help in that, because capital would come in through that, and of course like different fields, from the community as well. But anyways, I just wanted to leave you with their website and their Twitter, and go ahead and check them out and follow them. Give them a follow on Twitter, and I'm pretty sure like you're gonna love it. It's called betdex.com, so it's pretty simple, to remember as well. And on Twitter they have a handle as betdex labs. All right, so but it's the same. It's the same because yeah, it's the same. All right, so the thing is, it's very interesting where this thing would go. I'm looking forward to this, and I hope you would also explore this alongside me. And I hope you learned something from this tutorial. And as you can see, our good old friend over here. All right, so he's saying thank you. So thank you to you. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, if you guys want to subscribe to the channel, please feel free, because I'll be sharing out content as I learn more about this product, and different other products and tutorials as well, where I'll be teaching you like how to do it, or not teaching you, let's say demonstrate to you how you can go ahead and do this yourself. But yeah, always remember, betting, you need to do it responsibly. Okay, so please remember that, and share it with your video. So share this video with your friends, your colleague, and everyone, so that they know what's going on. All right, so I hope I covered everything, and yeah, if there's anything, we'll do another video. All right, so take care, bye for now, and have a nice evening, day, or afternoon. All right, bye now, ciao.